Say some interesting shit. Shut the up.
All right. Welcome to G-Size. I'm Colin.
I'm Greg.
And here we're going to talk about one of the earliest forms of Japanese toys that continue today. And that is Sofubi.
Yeah, you know a lot about this stuff.
I know a decent amount, enough to talk about it for about 10 minutes, right? So basically Sofubi's, what Sofubi stands for is actually soft vinyl. So basically that can go from soft vinyl figures to soft vinyl model kits, anything that uses soft vinyl.
Right.
So mainly why they use soft vinyl is it's cheap. You can use molds over and over again.
Yeah, and just cast things in vinyl to produce these items. And that got big in Japan, if I'm not wrong, from like garage kit makers and a lot of like the beginning toy makers back in Japan, when things wouldn't necessarily have a toy line. They would
make the sculpts and really pour the vinyl into the mold and basically produce them that way.
Which is crazy. There's a ton of, you showed me a whole documentary on it. There's a ton of documentaries on YouTube and the internet just about how Sofubi started and what it was like to be a toy maker in like the 60s, and it's really cool. So definitely check that out.
So basically it goes over basically garage kit makers and how Wonderfest kind of got its start, and it was basically a bunch of toy makers. And
if you're not familiar with Wonderfest, Wonderfest is one of the biggest toy and figure expos worldwide. There's one in Japan, and there's also, I believe they just started one on the west coast of the United States.
Yes, but the biggest
and the main one is in Japan. I think it happens more than once a year, actually.
Yeah, I want to say there's winter and there's summer.
Yeah.
So there's two.
But always amazing stuff coming out of Wonderfest.
Exactly.
Amazing sculpts and all kinds of cool stuff.
I want to say in the kaiju realm, definitely one of the most popular are like your Bandai figures. Like this one is the EX, the 6-inch Ghidorah figure. Basically there's the 6-inch line, but some of the more vintage Godzilla vinyls that are out there around the 8-inch scale, and those ones, they've been making for forever.
Right. Chances are you probably owned a vinyl kit without it, or a vinyl figure without even realizing it.
Exactly. If it's hollow, most likely it's a vinyl figure. And then basically now Bandai is producing basically through Tanamashi Nations. Like this one, they have the Pacific Rim. Basically, this one's the Strike Horn. They have the Sofubi Spirits line. So basically this is more traditional what they're kind of doing now in the modern era, but it still follows the same methods that they
have been doing for years
decades, and years.
Crack this bad boy open, dude?
Yeah, and we can
take a look at what this Sofubi creation is.
Unboxing!
We're not an unboxing channel.
Hey, we're gonna do it though. Oh God, don't do this at home.
Oh God,
kids.
Here he goes.
Wow.
We got him started. Look at this guy's like ready to go, just in the bag.
Look at him.
Ready to go.
No, it has quite an odor. See? Smell that, Greg. That's some Sofubi magic right there.
Serious Sofubi. Holy shit.
Put this box aside.
Whoa. Dude, this thing is actually quite cool looking. Way better.
Yeah.
In person.
This is one of the better ones. And you got your traditional swivels.
Swiveling.
Sofubi.
If you're a Jobby the Hom fan.
Oh yeah.
Swivel here. Swivel here.
You got 2 swivels in their arms, which is pretty dope.
All right. Well, this isn't a Strikehorn review, so
no.
Some articulation and stuff, or no?
Not up here. Sometimes in the Sofubis, you gotta be
like attachments and stuff.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful because some of them are non-traditional points of articulation. Basically, those are just seam lines.
Yeah, right.
So I'll give it a little bit of a
a wiggle,
and if it doesn't move, chances are it's not supposed to move.
It's just a seam line from
the
assembling the parts.
And then basically that is most likely glued in position. Like you tilt it a little bit and it starts to swivel. That means
you're good to go.
That's an articulation point right there.
Yeah, I noticed the Ghidorah also has some articulating points on the wings and also, not on the neck. So that right there is another example of like a few seam line there.
Yeah, that is a seam line.
Why don't we talk about something that has no articulation?
I think it's time for the main event, and then that's this guy right here. So this one is from Kyoto, definitely one of the premier vinyl kit manufacturers coming out of Japan. So this one specifically is the sci-fi monster line. They do a lot of Godzilla, Ultra Kaiju, and a few other IPs, I believe, that are in this line as well, but most likely you'll find is the Godzilla stuff. And this one specifically is sculpted by one of the more premier Godzilla sculptors, Yuji Sakai. So
the infamous Yuji Sakai.
The infamous, very, very talented sculptor, and I think he's definitely one of the best in the industry.
Best sculpts. Yeah,
absolutely. And one thing, if you're looking for kits like this, anything with Yuji Sakai's name attached to it is going to go up and up in value. So,
and it's going to look amazing.
But these, obviously, you have to cut things out and stuff like that.
So let's take a look at what that's going to be like. So this is essentially like a Sofubi that you have to put together. So
this bag of amazingness, you know.
Get your nose in there.
It smells absolutely wonderful.
I'll take a little piece.
Yeah.
There we go.
Take a piece in it. Yeah.
There we go.
It's not for these kids at home.
Yeah.
So basically, this is what you'll get in the kit. So this is actually a segment of Godzilla's tail, and this is your main section here. So much like it's not like your traditional Gundam models.
Like a snap kit.
Yeah, that basically you have your pieces on the runner and you cut it from the runner. Basically, these come in multiple pieces, and there are parts you do have to cut out to assemble these. So basically here off the tail, you'll get this section here that's known as flash.
Yep.
And you'll have to basically cut around the seam and basically dispose of that, and basically connects to your other piece.
Same thing with here. Here we have a bunch of flash. So all that is gonna have to be trimmed with
hobby knife. But before you do end up trimming these, don't directly go in with the hobby knife and cut it. With these, basically, it's easier if you heat it up, basically by submerging it into hot water, or the most, I want to say the fastest method is getting a hairdryer and just heating it up with the heat gun or a hairdryer, so it makes it soft, pliable, and you can cut into it. But when you're making your cuts, be careful, because basically once this is heated up and you get your hobby knife in there, if you drag it, it will basically...
It'll sink into the actual...
It will sink and it will go.
Yeah.
It will go. So basically watch it when you are cutting, and remember, kids, cut away from you.
Your end result is...
It's basically something like this, and you'll have to get these. It's not like your Gundams that basically you can snap it and basically it's color accurate and right away in the plastic. Normally these ones are all going to be one single color out of the plastic. Just mainly it's for your garage kit makers. Basically they'll only have access to one color, so basically you'll have to color correct with paints and other. And also, when you first put together your model, one thing besides your hobby knife that you need to have is basically any type of modeling putty.
Yeah.
So basically you're gonna have to, after you cut out the parts and you're putting the parts together, you can put them together with super glue. You're gonna definitely have to have that putty to kind of fill in the gaps and make it seamless.
It takes a little more work. You got a little more cutting. There's a little bit more room for error. But your end result is like a beautiful figure-like thing that you made yourself, and you put all the color on, and looks amazing.
But definitely, if you guys you're into kaiju or anything, I definitely recommend starting up on a Sofubi kit.
I know a lot of people will like sell these too, right? Like in the aftermarket scene, when you're getting something hand painted by a modeler, it's typically got better paint application than something that came off a factory line. So I know a lot of collectors will, like, if they're not necessarily a modeler but a collector more so, they'll shoot for something like this from a modeler that they know and they like their work and stuff.
When you look on the internet, please be careful where you look. Definitely, if you're looking for an unassembled kit, basically on any aftermarket site, basically if you're looking at eBay, people
are there fakes out there?
There's definitely fakes out there. There's recasts of each kit. So basically, this one's officially from Kyoto. Make sure to ask the seller in the comments: is this a recast? Is this a, an official sealed
right.
box?
And I believe they'll have the foil sticker. I'm sure you guys are well aware of.
Yeah, your official licensing.
Your licensing on here, so keep an eye out for that stuff.
So for your vinyl kits, they do get up there in price, especially if they're out of production. Mainly these vinyl kits, they are technically garage kits, so they're made in limited quantities. So like a kit like this, you'll probably now find on eBay for close to around $100. It's not going to be like your Gunpla high-grade kits where they're about $15. If you do see a cheaper price on eBay for an unpainted kit, most likely it is going to be one of those recasts.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not steering you away from the recast. We want basically our artists like Yuji Sakai to get paid. So basically, if you get an official kit, that goes to them. But if you do get a recast, basically that's going to go to Joe Schmo over in China that recasted that kit. But we want Yuji Sakai to bring us more amazing product.
Yeah.
So
look for those licensed products. Helps out the artist, helps out the company to keep putting out more stuff like that, getting the licenses more easily.
But if you want to go ahead and get a recast, you're not sure how it's going to come out, it's your first time, by all means do that if you want to, and then basically move up to the official kits.
Yeah, man.
Too. It's definitely an option.
Your 89 Godzilla looks savage. Right, that's an 89?
It is an 89.
Okay,
Godzilla vs. Biollante. Gotta love it. One of my favorite films.
Yeah, looks beautiful, man. If you have any questions about Sofubi, you can ask Colin in the comments. Other than that, do all that stuff you do on YouTube, and we'll catch you on the next one.
On the shield, they did like a custom kind of decal on it. Just, basically
A little personalization
on it. Basically, it had the.
Goddamn Canada gooses.
Good.